Welcome to the Daily Tanya of Friday, the 22nd day of Sivan. Let's begin with Tzedakah. Tzedakah shemekareves es hageula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. And we continue chapter 7 in Shar, Hayichud, והאמונה, gateway of unity and faith. We spoke yesterday about the higher level of unity, and we are going to speak today about the lower level of unity. What is the higher level of unity? Well, of course, we're talking about the unity of Hashem and the world. How everything is united. Everything is one. Not just united, it's really one. That's what we say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, O Israel, Hashem is the Lord, Hashem is one. And as we explained in length, when we're saying that Hashem is one, it doesn't just mean that there is no other God. It means that nothing else truly exists. And this concept can be seen from both ways, from both sides. It can be seen from God's lens, so to speak. That from Hashem's lens, there's really, He puts up a way of contracting His light so that we can feel ourselves as separate entities, but truly, from Hashem's perspective, it's completely nullified. We don't have any self-existence. And that's what we explained yesterday, that this is the higher level of unity when we see it the way it is in the world of Atzilus. In the world of Atzilus, where Hashem and His attributes are completely one, and nothing else is there seen and felt except for God's presence. Now, after the world of Atzilus, we have the lower worlds, the Bria, Yetzir, Asiyah. And there, Malchus of Atzilus, the level of Malchus, which is the lowest level of the highest world of Atzilus, that brings with it a way of contracting the light in a way that it enables something else to feel itself as existing. And this is what we said, the Malchus is royalty, kingdom, kingship. And in order to have kingship, you have to have subjects. So that is why Hashem desired to have subject, to be king. And for that, He enabled the concept of having worlds, which by definition, worlds is space and time. The world, everything in the world, in the spiritual world, the physical world is space and time. So we explained that, again, you have the higher level of unity, means that the lower one elevates itself to the higher and completely nullified, like the sunlight within the sun. But the lower level of unity is that you have the ability to see God within a created world. So we gave yesterday the example of the two types of miracles. You have the miracle of Hashem completely shattering the laws of nature. That in a way is a form of a higher level of unity, showing that the world really does not have its own, it's beyond understanding. That's what it says in the Beis Hamikdash, you have the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you have the place of the Aron. The Holy Ark did not take space. And that is, the Ark was a limited physical thing with a certain measurement, but yet, when you measure the room, it didn't take space. This is a combination of space and no space at the same time. So let's see inside what the Alter Rebbe says about the lower level of unity of Hashem, investing his light in this physical world. Says the Alter Rebbe, והנה, אף על פי שהוא יסבורך למעלה מהמוקם והזמן, אף על פי כן הוא נמצא גם למטה במוקם ובזמן. Now, although God transcends space and time, he is nevertheless also found below within space and time. So even as space and time, meaning the dimensions that constitute the world, exist in their own eyes, as independent entities, Hashem places his presence in the space and time as well. That is, that he unites with his attribute of Malchus, from which space and time are derived and come into existence. As we explained yesterday, the Malchus is the kingship. This is where space and time derives. And Hashem unites with his attribute of Malchus. Because from Hashem's perspective, the contraction, the concealment, the curtain is also Hashem. V'zeu Yichud Torah, and this is Yichud Torah, the lower level of unity. And what else he says, that this is Shiluv Avaya Be'atnos Baruch Hu. This also is the intertwining of the letters of the name Avaya within the letters of the name Adnos. So in this instance, the divine name Avaya is intertwined and vested within the name of Adnos. This is what we explained yesterday, and we'll show you another example of this. So you have yesterday we spoke about the two names, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. So when you have the Yud first, and you have the Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, Adnai, is intertwined within the Yud, the Hey, and the Vav, and the Hey. But then there is and as we explained yesterday, that this is where the Yud K Vav K, which represents the power of Hashem, which is beyond time, that is the predominant force here. That is why it begins with this, with the Yud K, and the Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud is the level of Hashem, of the limitations of the world, the master of the world. That is in the Yud K Vav K, which means nullified within this higher level. But then there is the other way, that the Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud comes first, the Aleph first, and then the Yud. So you have the Aleph, the Yud, the Dalet, the Hey, and so on. There, what is predominant? The Adnai is predominant. Now you're talking about when there is a world and you see the world exists. But yet within the world, you realize that the world doesn't have its own existence, that Hashem shows his existence in the world and nullified. And the world is nullified. That is called Bitul Hayesh, the lower level of Yichud Tatar, the lower level of unity. That is to say, that his essence and being, which is called by the name Ein Sof, the infinite one, completely fills the whole earth temporally and spatially. Ki bashamayim mimal uba'oretz uledalet tzitrin akel molei mo'ir soif baruch hu b'shove mamash ki kach hu ba'oretz mitachas k'moi bashamayim mimal mamash. For in the heavens above and on earth below and in the four directions, everything is equally permeated with the Ein Sof light, or God is to be found on the earth below exactly as in the heavens above. For everything, including both heaven and earth, is within the dimensions of space, which is utterly nullified in the Ein Sof, in the Ein Sof light. Why? Which clothes itself in it through God's attribute of Malchus, and in turn, God's attribute of Malchus is united with him. So in relation to the Ein Sof light, which totally transcends time and space, there exists no difference between heaven and earth. God is found equally in heaven and upon earth. So now the question is, this being so, why are time and space not totally nullified if Hashem is there, even in the lowest levels? So why aren't we completely nullified? And the answer is what we said in the previous lessons, that this is the attribute of Malchus, is the tzimtzum, the concealment, the contraction of that light. They are not nullified because God's attribute of Malchus is the attribute of tzimtzum and concealment. His function is to hide the Ein Sof light so that it will not be perceived by the created beings. So that the existence of time and space should not be completely nullified. And there will be no dimensions of time and space whatsoever, even for the lower worlds, if not for that tzimtzum. Meaning, it is only because of the concealment affected by Malchus that time and space exist for created beings. So this is the idea of the Yichud Tato, the lower level of unity. So in other words, it is like two people. One is on top on the mountain, one is on the bottom of the mountain, and they need to meet. There's two ways. One is that one on top comes down, the other one is that one below climbs up. So from Hashem's perspective, it's all one. It says also, for example, it says on Shabbat, it says, the holy day of Shabbos, it says the worlds are elevated to the level of Atzilus. The world are elevated. It's a different spiritual world. Obviously, you and I don't see it. I don't know about you, man. I don't know, I can talk for myself, so I don't see it. But we know tzaddikim do see it. They see that the world is a different world. You know, that they say about the tzaddik and when he came Shabbos, so there was a tzaddik, when he was a child, he was asked a question in the law. There's a law that it says what happens when a person doesn't know, he's in the middle of a desert or somewhere, forgets when is Shabbos, when is the holy day of Shabbos. What does he do? So there's a discussion what he has to do, whether to keep the next day Shabbos or so on. And it's to count 7 days. But this child, I think it was the Ruzhner, he didn't understand the question. So the teacher explained it to him again. The person is in a desert and doesn't know when Shabbos is. He says, what does it mean he doesn't know when it's Shabbos? And finally the teacher got to the bottom of it. The child says, on Shabbos, the sky is different. It looks different. He was able to see the holiness of the Shabbos, the holiness of the holy day. And the Shabbos, the world is elevated to a higher level. That is sort of the Yichud that the lower elevates to the higher levels. And there is also a concept of Yichud Tata, being united. The lower level of unity is the whole idea of doing Torah, studying Torah, and doing mitzvahs. It is Hashem coming down to the limitation, to the levels of this world. And here in this world, we unite with Hashem in a physical world, with physical limitations. We put on tefillin with physical boxes of leather and so on and so forth. All the mitzvahs are done with a physical world. That is Hashem coming down here. So this is the end of today's shir. Wishing you all a wonderful Shabbos, and we should see you after Shabbos, B'ezrat Hashem.